So we had an amazing 3 days together. And oh, by the way, Aaron has asked me to begin the facilitation of the meeting today because he's trying to claim that he's not the leader of this group. That's yet to be seen. So we had an amazing 3 days, and on the last day we began to break into different groups of people who were talking about things. There was this group who was talking about voting online. I remember that well. Inclusive urbanization. What a wonderful sort of umbrella that we had that people were talking about. The ideas of creating standards and cross-transportation and housing and civic engagement. Really kind of talked about what everybody was talking about. Was it you, Aaron, who was so fired up about the healthy city? Wasn't it Aaron? I can't remember who it was. Really fired up about we got all this health care and we're Debbie. And we're one of the unhealthiest cities in the country. How can that be? Why can't we change our image? The bus, get on the bus, folks. That sounded like manual a little bit. There was the education component that was also talked about, inclusive urbanization. Talked about really aiming education at the level of the child instead of the level of the school, which was a very thoughtful, and even talked about having the funding follow the level of the child. And then we were talking about affordable housing a mere 2 or 3 weeks before it became all the rage on every front page. One of the things that I think we accomplished was a feeling that this really was an important work, and that little incremental adjustments on the current state of things isn't good enough, and that we were at a city at a point that in order to take responsibility for our future, in order to be truly future ready, we have to make quantum leaps from where we are now. And in that sense that the time is now, that if not us, who? In the sense that we have to be bold and seize the bull by the horns and say, we're pointing ourselves to this level of boldness and engagement. And that's unusual. We're Nashville, right? Everybody's polite, and when we get together, we want to get along and talk nice and like that. And I'd like to suggest that tonight, and really the work of Future Ready Nashville is not that sort of polite discourse. It ain't good enough. It's got to get better. It's got to get better now. We're going to get it better. We're not going to accept not moving things. And so I wanted to bring you back to that sense of urgency, that spirit that I felt in the room as we started our work tonight, and to sort of prime the pump and get the conversation going. The first process that we're going to do is we're going to give everybody, despite the fact that you're trying to eat at the same time, we'll give everybody a sticky pad poster thing and ask you to spend 10, maybe 15 minutes on the 4 questions that Aaron sent in his email. What differentiates us from other like-minded groups? What is our vision? What's the mental picture of what success might look like? What concrete steps can we take in the next several weeks to begin to create that vision? The concrete step might be to say, wow, we've got this one all-inclusive vision. We know it's the right thing. We're going to go out and we're going to just start telling everybody in the world and recruit everybody. Or it might be, our vision is we're going to have another meeting in 2 weeks. And we know who else we're going to bring in, we're going to push along. So there's a broad span of success that's possible tonight. We're not under any artificial time frame, or we don't have to come out and solve the problems of the world. Typically, in the design shop format, start out with the world a little bit narrower, right? Then we're going to talk about everything. And we started with talking about everything. And so over 3 days, we really succeeded in getting some really nice buckets of work that are fairly well defined and compelling. But we didn't have the time to really work on, okay, if we're going to really focus on this bucket, what are the steps that we're going to go through to actually execute on this vision? And so that could be something that we do tonight, or it could be something that we decide is part of our vision going forward. But we know we haven't gotten there yet, and so between where we are now and future ready, some of that work is going to have to take place. So what concrete steps can we take, and then what other stakeholders and potential partners can help us? And so to avoid our going down rabbit holes on individual conversations at the get-go, what we'll do is we'll get everybody to take a pad and write down their thoughts on those 4 questions. And then we're going to get each person to report out in full. Here's what I think about my 4 things. Here's what I did, and here's what I think. And then once everybody's reported out in full, we'll take the temperature and figure out what's next.